I may have found the strongest Root Rider Druid spam army yet. It involves 5 Overgrowth spells, no Eternal Tome. Yes, we're bringing the Rage Gem and the Healing Tome, and it is fantastic. Today I'm going to show you some attacks from some opposition clans that we went up against, and they all came in with this army comp you see here. Have a look at it. It is ridiculous. So this attacker here is going to pull out the CC. Anytime you're doing Root Rider spam and the CC is pullable, pull it. It is definitely worth it. It will cost you time, but you very rarely time fail with this army anyway. So we deal with the CC on the right hand side just with a couple of archers and barbs. And look at this. This is why I think this army is insane, because the way they're deploying this army can definitely be improved. We just deploy everything on one tile. That is how ridiculously strong this is. And if we have a look at the Warden equipment, ridiculous, completely ridiculous. And how can you get away with this? Because you're bringing 5 Overgrowth spells, so you don't use an Overgrowth at the start because you've got the 5 druids. Yes, he places all 5 druids within the first couple of seconds of the deployment, so you don't need the healing, you don't need to reduce the damage from the base on your troops. The druids will more than happily cover you. Then on the top side, you'll notice we've got the hogs coming out of the CC. I think 6 Valks would be better, but you can definitely bring hogs. And have a look at this. So the Overgrowth in at the center ends, and we're just going to Overgrowth the core of the base again. By the way, Queen's got the Frozen Arrow, so not even bringing the Healer Puppet, just Frozen Arrow. Now, if you have a look at this, all of our troops are really, really low here. And we could bring the Eternal Tome, because that would conserve the current health they have. But when you've got this many Overgrowth spells, why even bother bringing the Eternal Tome? You don't need to stop the amount of damage that the base is putting on your troops, because it's not putting much at all. Just bring the Healing Tome instead. Yes, your troops will take a little bit of damage, but the Healing Tome will do more, because yeah, the Overgrowths are completely insane. On top of that, the Eternal Tome only lasts 9 seconds, whereas the Healing Tome lasts 25 seconds. So I know which one I'm going to want to pick, and I mean, look at this. Completely crushed. Not even close. You'll see here, so he did use one offset Overgrowth, and then we use the Spiky Ball with the King. You can use the Rage File. Now, obviously, this attacker has really high hero equipment levels, and you guys might think, well, the only way you can do this is with really high hero equipment levels. Not true at all. You could definitely do this with much lower equipment, because the whole premise of this army is just not allowing the base to do any damage to your troops. Queen ability, swagged. We've got the an Overgrowth unused. Don't worry, you'll see 5 Overgrowths used in the next attack, and a swag freeze as well. Here's another meta base that we ran that got completely destroyed. I mean, look at this. Spams all but the super barbs down in the first couple of seconds, all on the same tile, and that's why I think this army is kind of cool. Even puts down the Royal Champion as well. Now, that is a bad move, and I also generally wouldn't spam everything on the same tile, but I think that's a pretty good sign for how effective this army is, that you can do this. Like, there are still ways to improve this army, like using the siege barracks properly as a funnel. But you're going to see here, we use the Overgrowths to kind of funnel, so deliberately leave the Monolith visible so that we can take that down. Look at that, we get rid of the enemy queen, and now all our stuff is going to be moving through the base together. We've got the hogs coming out of the CC. I still think the Valks would be better, but completely up to you. We pop the Warden ability now. We don't need to pop it in the highest DPS part of the base. You just pop it when your troops are low health, and when you're going to get the most healing, because there's no point getting them back up to full, and then the last 10 seconds of the ability, the healing's doing nothing. Wait till they're quite low, and if there's too much damage on the base, well, you're just going to Overgrowth it anyway, right? Now, the downside here is you see the Queen kind of gets isolated. She went straight through the middle as a ranged unit, whereas everything else has done a lap of the base. So the Queen does go down early here, thus showing yet again that this army isn't even about heroes being ridiculously broken. The King's gone on the outside of the base. I didn't even see that. The King's done a full lap of the base around the left-hand side here. He has not gotten crazy value at all, thus proving you don't need insane hero equipment on this, ladies and gentlemen. You just need those druids. You probably don't even need the max. They're so good at level 1, but get those druids out in action, get the Overgrowths out, and you're gonna get some triples. I love this Overgrowth at the end, deliberately leaving the Town Hall for last, but leaves the Invis Tower, available, and look at this. We're just gonna trigger it nice and easily. perfectly done. Still got the king ability, still got the royal champion ability. It wouldn't matter what king ability you had here. You can even have the vamp stash and the earthquake boots, and you would be finishing this base off. The 2 P.E.K.K.A.s from the siege barracks are still up. The royal champion ability is still up. We don't need that last freeze. What do I need to say about this army? The king went rogue, the queen didn't get insane value, and we got the triple. Some of you may ask, well, how would you improve this army then? I would use the super bubs to genuinely funnel, not just do what happens here, because I believe in this attack, the queen dies even earlier than in the last attack, because the attacker here isn't really doing a lot to funnel on the outside of the base. Inside the base, we're using the overgrowths, funneling brilliantly, but look at the queen here on the top side, and because we're not bringing the healer puppet, the queen does not really have any ability to heal herself. Not even bringing the unicorn on the queen either, by the way. Got a really interesting pet combo. Would I do this? No. I would still run the phoenix on the king and the unicorn on the queen, but showing a wide variety of strategies can work. We got the healing tome coming in here, and this is a perfect example of when the healing tome is better than the eternal tome. Yeah, our troops are taking a little bit of damage, but look at how many troops are getting healed for so long. We've got 3 freeze spells with this army anyway, so just keep freezing. There you go, another overgrowth coming in. I mean, the healing tome is just so much better when you've got 5 overgrowths. I don't think you can argue that, but I don't think we'd all be comparing healing tome versus eternal tome, particularly with a root rider spam army. But anyways, to finish what we were talking about before, how would I improve the army? We'll set your funnel on the outside of the base. You don't need to deploy your siege barracks directly behind where you come in with the root riders and the druids. By the way, no Valks in this army. I didn't even notice that till right now. Noob caster confirmed. But I'd just use the siege barracks on the flank. Does not need to be right behind. So on this, I would have used the siege barracks a bit more towards the top because it was going to be easier to funnel the right-hand side. In terms of other things, you can use your king and queen like we saw from the rank 1 player in the world. We'll link that video at the end of this, how they use root rider spam, including with a couple of druids. But this might be the easiest way yet. Clearly, you can deploy it all on the same tile and still get the triple. This was the closest one to a fail, but still, it is going to get the triple in the end. Now, would this way of using root rider spam be the highest hit rate? No. The way rank 1 uses it with the king, queen, and a jump spell is definitely the highest hit rate way of doing the army. But that requires a bit of skill controlling your king and queen. This, you don't need to control your heroes at all, clearly. Doesn't matter if they do a lap of the base. The root riders, the druids, with the overgrowth, the rage gem healing tome, it all works perfectly. But if you do want to see more root rider action, if this hasn't convinced you of root riders, we'll link it on the left. The rank 1 player bringing druids and a jump spell with their root rider spam army.